Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about a few things that I think will be super helpful for you if you are in business. And I love talking about a lot of different things on this channel. I talk about entrepreneurship, I talk about homeschooling, I talk about health and wellness, I talk about faith and parenting. So on this video, we're going to talk about entrepreneurship. So I have a couple of podcasts that I want to share with you. If you don't know about them already, you can look at the links below that I've left. They are Her Business Elevated podcast and the Mompreneurs and Heels podcast, as well as Christian Homeschool Moms podcast. And I love podcasting. If you can't tell already, throughout my life, I've started 8 podcasts, and these 3 are the ones that have stuck. And so I want to share something that I shared on the Her Business Elevated podcast the past 2 weeks. I have made a little bit of a shift in the way I present content on that podcast. I'm talking more about how business and faith are interrelated, a little bit different than the Mompreneurs and Heels, where I talk about women who are moms in business and how we balance life, the family and business balance. So that's a different topic. So if you like either one of those, I invite you to subscribe in iTunes or Spotify or Google Podcasts or wherever you find podcasts. I would love for you to join me. So I want to talk about 2 topics that you can find on last week's episodes. They are, I believe, episodes 17 and 18. They are about empowerment and confidence. So today I'm just going to give you sort of a brief summary of what those podcasts are about, but I want you to go back and listen to them in detail. But I just thought I would come here and share with you guys, since some of you don't even know that I'm running these 3 podcasts. So I want you to know about them. Okay, so one thing I want you to think about: if you are an entrepreneur, solopreneur, mompreneur, and you are either in the beginning stages of your business or wanting to start a business and you're not quite sure how to launch, I want you to start with the idea of confidence and then empowerment. So what I believe is that each and every one of us have been called to do a specific work on earth. And that specific work could be many different works that we're supposed to do. So I've had people ask me, what is that one thing that you're called to do? It's not one thing. It's a lot of things, right? We've all been called to a lot of things. There may be one overarching big theme of our lives that we're going to fulfill while we're on planet Earth, but there are a lot of things we're going to do that connect with that theme. And so what I want you to do is to tap into your calling and to go to the source. So that's my number one tip for you. Establish your source. And I say source with a capital S. And so for me, that's Jesus. Go to your source, go to your God, go to the higher power and ask God what he wants you to do for your life and what he's planned for your life, because he has your blueprint. He already knows. That's why he created you. There's a reason that you're here. You're not just here to suck up space and waste time and just go hang out with people and have drinks and just, get through your day and hope that you survive, right? And pay bills, all the stuff that we do. That's not your purpose. So those are things you're going to have to do, but they're not your purpose. So you need to ask God what your purpose is, because it's inside of you, and he will unravel it for you and let you see what you're supposed to be doing so that you can take those little bitty baby steps every day towards that final destination. So that's the first thing, is when you want confidence in your calling, you have to ask the source, the person who created you, why you're here, so that you can be more confident in what you're called to do. Okay, so confidence doesn't come in, you're just establishing, this is what I am, this is what I do, here I am, and I'm doing this now. No, it's a calling. So if you find people that are really absorbed in what they're doing every day, and they really have a single focus, a one-track mind, and they're working hard towards something, and you can't shift them away from it, it's because they are so secure in who they are and what they're supposed to be doing that nobody can turn them to the right or to the left. They are focused. And so focused people can rub folks the wrong way, because focused people don't often have time to just go do whatever with anybody anytime they want, because they're focused on a goal. But those are the kind of people to pay attention to, because they really are a good example as to folks that are understanding of their purpose. The second thing you should do when you are trying to be confident in your calling, to be more confident, is to stop asking for permission. One thing that I've learned is I don't need to ask. And you don't need to ask anybody for permission to do what you know you've been called to do. There are going to be people that don't agree with your approach, with your goals, with what you're planning to do. They may not understand what you're doing. They may mock you for what you're doing. There's just so much that comes with the package of accepting your calling. You're out there, you're in front of everybody, you're in front of the masses, and you're doing life in front of everybody who's watching to see if you're going to fail, if you're going to flounder, if you're going to get confused, if you're going to stop, if you're going to give up. And then they come back in your life when it looks like you're giving up and they're like, hey, what happened? And they might be a little bit happy to see you in your down spaces, to see you when you're a little bit down and when you haven't figured something out yet, right? So really, again, watch my last video if you haven't already about people who are not your true friends, because you want to be careful to keep the right people in your personal space, in your sacred space. Only the right people, people that are going to encourage you and promote you and lift you up and build you up. So stop asking for permission. You don't need anybody to give you a final consensus on what is good for you. If God already told you you're going to do it, then you're going to do it. You're going to do that work that you've been called to do. So you don't need anyone's stamp of approval. Now, it is good to have some support from your friends. And most importantly, if you are married, from your spouse. It's awesome if you can have that support, but sometimes you won't even get that. So if you're in a place in your life where nobody seems to be supportive of you, you just really have to dig in and trust God for that next direction for your direction in your life. Just trust him that he will take care of you. And thirdly, ask for what you want, because you're not going to get anything out of life if you don't ask. So there are other people out there that already have what you need, and you have to ask them so you can get what they have, so you can get where you're going. So it's no time for pride and no time for wishing that you had already gotten where you're going. And I wish I'd been, here 10 years ago. I'm 15 years late. So many things that I hear women say, and I myself have felt, so I understand. But there's no such thing as being late, because there's a purpose and a reason for why you have what you have now and why you're not where you're not now. So never worry that you're completely off course. If you are in any way, shape, or form seeking your destiny, seeking for where God has you to go, then there's no way that you're so off course. You're going to get back on course, even if you're a little bit off track. There's nothing impossible for God. It's easy for him to bring you back where you need to be. So don't worry about what you think you've left behind or lost, or what you put on the shelf for 10 or 15 years. There will be a time and a season for everything to come back around to you again, and for you to fulfill your purpose. So it's never too late. You're never too old, and you're not too young. Right? You can start now. Whatever you're supposed to be doing, seek the Lord. If he tells you what you're supposed to do, get started now and run with that vision. And lastly, I'm going to give you a couple of tips for empowerment. Okay. So now that you have your confidence and you're ready to go, I want to empower you to, number one, know that your uniqueness is desired. Okay. People need what you have. You're different for a reason. You're not like everybody else for a reason. Don't try to be like anybody else. Don't try to use someone else's business model as a template for yours. It's not going to work, because God gave you a specific, special business that's not going to look like anybody else's business. I've already tried. Other people who are very successful will say, hey, follow me, and I will help you to not have to go through the mistakes that I went through. So just follow my template, follow my model. And then you end up paying thousands and thousands of dollars for business coaches that will help you to do what they did. But that was the calling on their life, not yours. So always know what you're investing in. When you invest in a business coach, this is just a side tip. If you invest in a business coach, make sure that you're investing in someone who's teaching you how to figure things out for your own business, how to create a roadmap for yourself. You're not following their specific roadmap. You are using their roadmap as a tool to help you get where you're going, but you don't have to copy your business template and roadmap off of theirs, right? So you do your own thing, but use them as a resource and as a tool and an inspiration. And they should be able to pull out of you what you need in your business specifically. Number two, know that your contributions are necessary. If you don't give to the world what's inside of you, then nobody else can do it. Now, somebody else can come along and do the work that you thought you were called to do and then just sat back and didn't do anything. Somebody else can do that work, but they can't do it the way you were called to do it. So there will always be a void in the universe if you don't step up. So you need to do what you're called to do. It does not matter who's talking about you, making fun of you, mocking you, laughing at you, putting you in the spotlight for everyone to say, look at this person, look at her, look at him. They haven't done anything yet with their life, or they're going around in circles and they're not being successful. Look at them. Why are they wasting their time? Why don't they just go get a real job? Why don't they just, so you'll hear a lot of negativity from certain people. And those people are not supposed to be in your life. Remove them from your life if you can. Hopefully it's not someone very close to you that you can't get away from. But hopefully you have good people in your life that are supportive. But if you have people in your space that you can remove yourself from, that are being a negative Debbie Downer and just not supporting you, remove them, because you have to focus on what you're called to do without their distractions. Okay. And lastly, you need to know that you can have the support you need. You have the support you need to succeed, to be successful. So success is different for everybody, but what is your definition of success? Think about what that is for you, because it's different for everyone. Okay. It's not just about how much money you're making, but there's a lot of factors that go into play when you're thinking of the word success. So what does that mean for you? And know that there are people in this world that can help you get where you need to go. You just have to take a couple of steps to get there. You have to find the people, you have to ask for help. Sometimes you have to invest money. Sometimes you just need to invest a little time. There are resources, there are mastermind groups, there are free groups. If you just want to go low key, like just budget your way through, shoestring budget your way through, the way so many of us have in the beginning of our business, you can do that, because there are lots of Facebook groups where you can get the help you need and support if you have the budget of time. If you have time to spend, you can get a lot of stuff for free. If you don't have the time, but you'd rather spend the money and get the proper tools, then you need to invest in the tools. So either way, you need to invest in finding people and finding resources and support groups that can help you in your journey of entrepreneurship. And once you do that, you're going to be on your way to being confident and empowered. Okay, I want you to be confident and empowered. Now, you might look at me and think, wow, like you're so soft spoken and you're so quiet and you're so, I don't know, lots of labels. I've been given the label passive and all that. And that's not true of me, but people can look at you and say, according to your personality and according to how you present yourself, that maybe you're a certain way. So then that means that you must be weak or something like that. And that's not the case at all for many of us with maybe quieter personalities and more introspective. It just means we process things a little bit differently. So if you're like me in any way, and if you're like that, I want to encourage you that just because you're not loud or, extravagant or bold in a visible way where people see that you're rowdy and you're pushy for what you want, just because you're not like that doesn't mean that you're not a strong person and that you're not bold. Okay. Boldness doesn't have to look like loud. Bold can be quiet too. So I say all of this to encourage each and every one of you who are listening today, who are mompreneurs, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, those of you thinking of starting a business, that you can do what you've been called to do, that you're empowered to do it, and you can have the confidence to do what you're called to do. And it doesn't need to look like anybody else's business or YouTube channel or podcast or blog or anything, Instagram, anything. You don't have to model after anybody else's stuff because you are so unique. I just want to get that into your mind and heart, that you're so unique. You shouldn't look like anybody else. You shouldn't act like anybody else. You shouldn't talk like anybody else. You're so different. And that's what's so special about you. And we need you the way you are, so that you can just be authentic and come as you are and show up without any pretenses and just be yourself, right? So that's all I have today. Hope I helped you. Hope I encouraged you. Drop a comment below underneath the channel description. Check out my podcasts, the Her Business Elevated podcast, and subscribe in iTunes. I'd love to hear from you there. Drop me a note. Let me know if you know how the podcast is helping you. If you're a mompreneur, drop by Mompreneurs and Heels podcast and then leave me a note here. Also, leave me a note on iTunes. More importantly, leave a note there. I would really love your support on iTunes. And if you're a homeschool mama, Christian Homeschool Moms is still always there for you. So check that out as well. And that's all I have for you today. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.